But next to Terriermon, this is where the show wanted to put a lot of Henry's focus. And I have to say, I really like this focus. Especially when it comes to the uniqueness of Henry's relationship with his father. Because, I mean, Henry seems to have a somewhat strained relationship with his mother. I think, honestly, I don't really remember many interactions that he and she had. Mostly I remember the mom from her interactions with the dad. She's not a terrible parental character, she just didn't really flip my switch all that much. Or maybe she just got overshadowed by the two other relatives of Henry that share a lot of screen time with him. Then we got Susie, who is Henry's younger sister, who later in the story becomes a tamer. She spends, like, most of the first half of the season just trying to be cute and kind of annoying Henry at times. She then gets transported to the digital world for no apparent reason and runs into one of the Devas, who, after getting its power taken away by the Sovereign, becomes her Digimon partner. And then she just kind of doesn't do a whole lot. I mean, her Digimon gets her power back when the Digimon Sovereign stops being a jerk, but still, in the third arc, when Antilamon gets her power back, she is not really all that useful because they're fighting the D-Reaper, which has been shown to be more than capable at handling ultimate level Digimon, even if they are Devas. So Susie, by extension, pretty much falls back to the wayside, just occasionally providing some comic relief, just like she did in the first arc. The only part of the story where she breaks away from this formula is during the second arc, at least towards the end of the second arc, when she's in the digital world with Henry, where she becomes a part of Henry's character development. Because naturally, Henry here is worried about the safety of his little sister when they're trapped in a world with things like this running around. He naturally becomes very overprotective of her, even going as far as to possibly consider killing her Digimon partner because she's a Deva, and therefore cannot be trusted. At least according to Henry. And I mean, he's not completely wrong. His paranoia is not unfounded. They have been spending the better part of 2 arcs now fighting the Devas. And they have been shown to employ deception, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that she is still a threat. And it is a nice juxtaposition to see how he acted in the beginning of the season when you compare him to how he's acting now. Because when he felt like his family wasn't being directly threatened, he acted like, oh, Digimon, you know, they can be trusted, they can be reasoned with, all that stuff. But here he is now, when his family is in direct threat. Now, all of a sudden, oh, now they can't be trusted. Now they're all monsters. Oh, no. The rift between brother and sister grows when Susie wants to go with Henry to meet the Digimon Sovereign, which Henry opposes because, well, the Digimon Sovereign's kind of insane. But she still can't grasp the danger, and she just doesn't want to be left alone again. And on top of that, Henry wants to take her Digimon partner with him to go meet the Sovereign, leaving her without a partner, which makes her protest grow even louder. And then I think it's implied Henry hits her. I'm not exactly sure about that. It seems kind of implied, and there is some questionable editing in this scene, and you know how the dub loves to censor things. You know, can't have a kid's show where a woman gets slapped around. What would the parents think? And honestly, I don't know how I feel about these relationship building scenes between Henry and Susie. Because on the one hand, this plays to some of Henry's strengths, mainly his relationship with his family. Like I said before, I like to see characters have relationships with their parents or siblings, because it adds a new dimension to them and can make them more relatable to the audience. I mean, I'm pretty sure there are quite a few people that can relate to Henry in a lot of these situations when he's dealing with Susie. But the thing that throws me off is how Susie is included in this arc, and just how drastically her role changes over the course of a couple episodes. I mean, she goes to the digital world for completely nonsensical reasons. And by nonsensical reasons, I mean there were no reasons why she went to the digital world. She literally just teleported there without any explanation as to why or how. I think they said Diginomes did it, which just makes me want to punch everything. I really hate Diginomes. So anyway, Susie gets to the digital world, and then she gets a Digimon partner, which has all of its powers taken away, rendering it completely useless. Then Henry and Susie spend the next couple scenes together fighting with each other about safety and what's best for her. And he makes her stay behind while they go talk to the Sovereign, which doesn't go well, and Susie magically bubbles to the scene. And then Henry realizes that sometimes he needs to fight in order to protect the people he loves. Wait, didn't we already solve this emotional and philosophical crisis that Henry had? I thought he checked this whole let's talk about it attitude at the door when that samurai Digimon tried to kill that little girl with the balloon. But no, we gotta revive it for this little escapade. And then, realizing this, Henry gets Mega Level Evolution, and it's completely pointless. Because Henry tries to kill the Sovereign, but the Sovereign turns out to be like invincible, so they all just end up running away. Honestly, I think Henry's got the worst Mega Level, I don't know, I guess you call it like a sequence. He's got the worst because it's the most forgettable. Takado's was the most big and epic, and it was full of symbolism from this problem that he had with Guilmon from the beginning. So he felt some sort of resolution. Rika's is terrible, but it's so lazy, horribly put together, and just such a contrast to her characterization. It's almost laughable. Henry's is just so meh. It doesn't seem to have the thought put into it that they did for Takado's, and it doesn't seem to have the thoughtlessness that they put into Rika's. So it's not really incompetent, it's just boring. But helping Henry get Mega Level seems to be the big reason why Susie's here, to give him some sort of family strife that he resolves, and then that causes him to merge with Terriermon, or whatever. But the show just keeps adding stuff to her that seems just so unnecessary. Like making her a tamer. Her getting a Digimon partner doesn't really change anything in the story. It doesn't upgrade her from comic relief to legitimate group member. As soon as the second arc ends, she's back to being comic relief. And like I said, second arc, weak, completely useless, blah blah blah. The only reason Henry and the others keep it around is because they think that it can, like, negotiate a ceasefire with the Sovereign, which she can't. So there's not much of a reason, I think, to have this thing tagging along with the group. It doesn't add anything. Well, I mean, you could say that it caused that argument that Henry and Susie had, which was the beginning of the rift between them, but that could have been caused by just about anything. In fact, I don't even think Susie needs to be here for some of these scenes. I mean, to me, it's kind of obvious that the show didn't want Susie to be a tamer, or at least have her this involved in the show. The way they just carelessly flop her around from place to place. Oh, she's here, but magic brings her here. Oh, she's here, but magically she's now here. It just seemed really lazy and lacked forethought. And I mean, the writer's own website pretty much does spell this out in a way, because he said he never intended Susie to be a tamer. But he was kind of forced to make her a tamer because the guy that did the intro for the show showed her being a tamer before the script was written. So it seemed like they just said, okay, we'll give her this Digimon that doesn't really do anything, doesn't have any real impact on the story, but it seems kind of cool, you know, having a Deva as a Digimon partner. And we'll have her have this emotional scene with Henry, which causes him to go Mega later. It seems like she's done something without actually needing to do anything. I mean, even then, this scene doesn't need Susie to be here. I mean, Henry could have just been worried about protecting his new friends that he's made from the Digimon Sovereign, not just solely protecting Susie. Whatever, I've talked about this enough. That's pretty much just Henry and Susie's relationship. He's the wise older brother, she's the bratty little sister who is supposed to be cute, and to some people I guess she is. She's not, I want to put this out there, she's not terrible. I just think her role as a tamer is questionable, and she'd be better off as just background comic relief. But I like some of the scenes that she and Henry have together and whatnot. I just don't think she's that cute. I think Kari did a better job at being an adorable small child than Susie. But I think that's just because Kari has a better voice actress who's actually good at making her character endearing, while Susie's voice actress is not doing the greatest job. And Susie's also just really acts spoiled a lot of times, and I prefer almost creepily perfect little girl character to spoiled brat little girl character. Okay, I'm done talking about this. We're going to move on to Henry's relationship with his dad, then we're going to move on to Terriermon. Henry's dad is, I think, the most active parent character this series has ever had. I mean, this guy invented Digimon and then became kind of like a villain character. Well, he works for Yamaki, who is trying to commit genocide upon the digital world. And he does that thing at the end, but he doesn't act like overtly evil or villainous at all. He just seems like a dad. He loves his kids, he loves his family. He does show signs of remorse for creating Digimon when he sees the amount of destruction they've caused and the risk that he's put his children in by creating them. But it's those type of things I like to see. I think he and Henry have a very simple relationship, just a father-son relationship. And I like the relationship that Henry and his dad have. Although I think I'm going to talk about this later actually when I get to Yamaki, because Henry's dad and Yamaki pretty much become sewn to the hip later on in the season, and I want to talk about some of the conflicts that arise between Henry and his dad while he's working for Yamaki. Now let's talk about everyone's favorite big-eared, smart-ass, rabbit monster thing, Terriermon.